I am extremely happy to be able to be here to support a good friend, a great individual that has been very active in the community, a family guy with a great family, somebody who has given a lot of time. He's sacrificed a lot of time. He's given a lot to his community in his different roles, being involved in Rock Valley College, Community College Board, being involved in Next Rockford and Transform Rockford. And I can tell you from firsthand experience, not just seeing him in those roles, but just seeing who he is as an individual. And again, seeing everybody here, the list of sponsors, individuals that are gathering around him, he is going to do a great job. And nobody can do it on their own. And he will be the first one to tell you that. As a group, as a community, we need to get behind those individuals that we're going to ask to go and help and fight for us each day at the county level.
Awesome turnout today. Who would think that a whole bunch of people would show up to talk about the consolidation of local government? It means we have no other choice but to have this conversation as we go forward. And if you want to be the best, then you've got to associate yourself with people who have a track record of reform at the highest levels, and that's why we're so honored to have Dan here. But let me just share a couple of words. Every now and then, sometime, someplace, somewhere, you need to plant your feet. Stand firm and make a point about who you are and what you believe in. And when that time comes, you simply must do it. And that is this campaign for me. We need a paradigm shift in how we do local government. We need to double down on our core mission that we exist to serve the incredible people in this community, and that's all we serve. When it comes to the 86 units of local government, I gotta be honest with you, I don't know that I know the exact number it should be, but I guarantee it's probably not 86. We need to talk about that so that we have a 21st century approach to local government. First and foremost, as chairman in Winnebago County. And the pledge I make to you is that we're going to have the most accountable, collaborative, and transparent unit of government. We're going to work with our board, the county-wide electeds inside the county, work with community leaders, and that's our goal, and that's what we're aiming for. And there's a lot of good people that are going to make that happen, including the employees at the county. But then we need to pivot and look collectively at our government as a whole. And how can we better serve taxpayers as a unit? And that's going to be a tough conversation. We've had some of those conversations in the past, but I don't think we have a choice but to re-look at that as we go forward, and that's why we have Dan here today.
Talk to folks about a subject matter that I'm really very passionate about, and that is making our government work better for us, making it leaner, making it more responsive and nimble, and most importantly, making it cost less. Business has changed to meet market demands and increase efficiency, but as we know, in many places, government remains stubbornly stagnant and failing to change with the times. I believe that we cannot afford yesterday's government today. And in a lot of cases, we don't even really need it. By every count, Illinois has more units of local government than any other state in the nation, by far. They have more than California, which is huge, larger, much larger landmass, more than Texas, more than New York. We have more taxing bodies pulling dollars out of our pockets through property taxes, and too often those small units of government fly under the radar and are not accountable to anyone. For example, in DuPage County, we have 44 mosquito abatement entities that most people don't even know exist. I mean, I don't know, mosquitoes, they get to the boundary, and they stop, and they turn around. I mean, it's ridiculous. 44 different entities, 38 of which buy their insecticide from the same vendor. Let me begin by explaining how I became immersed in this issue. And it didn't begin with consolidation, but rather with problems of accountability and transparency that arose among county-appointed agencies. After serving for 20 years in the General Assembly, I was elected to the DuPage County Board in November of 2010. Shortly thereafter, I realized that I was responsible for appointments of over 250 individuals to serve on governing boards in some 52 different appointed agencies. 24 of those 52 account for about 900 employees and $300 million in tax revenues. Some were simply advisory in nature, but others actually had the legal authority to levy a property tax and deliver public services. I'm not talking about the park district or school district or library board district. I was talking about the governmental bodies that were in the purview of county government in DuPage. The importance of this responsibility became even more apparent to me when I was about a month into my first term, when I was contacted by the regional office of the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD. They informed me that DuPage County Housing Authority, a county-appointed agency, had misspent over $5 million in federal funds. Not exactly the welcome to the new office gift that I was looking forward to. And just a year before, a similar crisis was brewing over at the DuPage Water Commission. The Water Commission is a joint county municipal appointed agency responsible for delivering Lake Michigan water to over 800,000 county residents. The Water Commission had somehow or other misspent or could not account for some $70 million in funds. Honestly, it got to the point where I couldn't sleep at night. I didn't know what problem would crop up next. Who were these people on these boards? The only connection between them and the behavior and the conduct of their agency was me, the appointing authority, and I had no comfort whatsoever knowing or not knowing what the heck they were doing. I concluded that not just these, but all of these under-the-radar county-appointed agencies needed much stronger oversight and new leadership, especially since many had the ability to impose a property tax or a sales tax and were not accountable to the taxpayer. As we dug deeper into it, we found that some of the county-appointed agencies, one, had failed to post meeting agendas or minutes. They abused the use of credit cards. They paid Christmas bonuses to themselves, hosted parties at taxpayers' expense. This failure to adhere to basic financial and ethical best practices was simply unacceptable. But even as the county board chairman, the appointing authority, believe it or not, I had no legal authority to gather information about these agencies. I wasn't permitted to look at their books or their financial records, examine their hiring practices or procurement. So the county board and I were the only officials in a position to demand necessary reforms, yet we were in the dark. So the ACT, Accountability, Consolidation and Transparency Initiative, was launched in May of 2012. We sought to introduce best practices, improve efficiency, reduce duplication, encourage resource sharing across county agencies and county government. Our goal then and our goal today remains: we seek to change the culture. And to do this, we needed fresh perspectives and ideas. With the assistance and approval of my colleagues on the county board, we replaced many of the appointees to these governing boards, and with astonishing results. It's amazing what good, inspired, enlightened leadership can do. We're changing the culture of DuPage County government, and as I said earlier, our collective efforts will save a projected $100 million. In May of 2013, we went back to the legislature. After we analyzed all the data, after we identified areas in need of reform, we came back down and we asked the legislature to pass Senate Bill 494. It was quite a struggle, and ultimately it was a negotiated compromise. But for the first time, this historic legislation, I don't want to overstate it, but it was really the only time ever that one unit of government, namely DuPage County, was given the opportunity to dissolve other units of local government. And they gave us that responsibility to dissolve up to 13 different county-appointed agencies. Consolidation, even on this limited scale, is very complex. In DuPage, we've had some success. We do things that seem pretty basic. We have a road salt program where municipalities and townships, we all buy road salt from the same platform. And we've realized hundreds of thousands of dollars in savings. We have 3 suburbs that have asked us to partner for traffic signal maintenance. That means those towns don't have to buy equipment. They don't have to hire people or contract out for it. We combine our volume, our leverage to work with our fellow local government officials. It doesn't always just go one way. We're willing to give up things. We gave up some of our responsibility in some of the juvenile justice area, and we now partner with our friends in Haney County. We work with the Forest Preserve to pioneer on information technology. We use our GIS. So I can go on and share many examples, but I think at the end of the day, I think we want to create sort of a new approach to government. So what are the lessons that I've learned in DuPage and what I can pass along humbly to you? Well, first of all, it's 2016, and I've been at this since 2010. Needless to say, progress is slow and incremental. Don't get me wrong, I'm proud of the successes that we've had in DuPage, and at the end of the day, it's not just about consolidation, it's about accountability and transparency as well. But changing the political culture, I think, is probably the most important thing that I think we've been able to achieve. The biggest obstacle that we have to overcome is cynicism. A lot of people are going to say it can't be done, Cronin. It's a good idea. It's a good idea, Frank. It's a good idea. But why don't you work and focus on something else? The bill that we passed, 494, that gave us this unique authority, that model has been extended. It was signed. The bill was signed by the governor this past summer, and it allows a Lake and McHenry counties to consolidate certain units of local government there, following our model. So we've been working hard to get government right-sized. We put it, I think, on the radar. Dave, when we started out a long time ago, I hate to admit it sometimes, I think a lot of folks in politics and government, they sort of measured themselves on, how many jobs do you control, and how big is, your war chest, and how, things have changed, and they should. And so now I think we want to make it a popular measurement. How many job headcount have you reduced? We're not trying to put people out of work, but how more efficient are you? Have you cut your budget? And why not if you haven't? So you can find efficiencies in a $400 million budget. So I think that's where we want to go, and that's where we are going, and thank God. And so at the end of the day, we want to do this. We want to reduce the burden on taxpayers. We want to positively impact the economy, increase transparency, encourage civic engagement, streamline the delivery of services. And I'm delighted to be here and share some of these thoughts with you. I encourage you, please, to learn more about this by looking at the transformillinois.org website. I am really grateful, Frank, for the opportunity to share some thoughts and my experience with you. Thank you for extending the invitation. You've been a wonderful audience, and I'd be happy to try to answer some questions.